It's kind of crazy how giddy this locomotive has made me. It's turned me into a kid. This is the Broadway Limited Imports N-Scale Y6B2882 with Paragon 4 and Rolling Thunder. It represents one of the steam giants of the golden age of railroading. The Y-Series locomotives were built for hauling coal out of the Appalachian Mountains and was actually built by Norfolk and Western itself in Roanoke, Virginia. Now, while it is smaller in size compared to the Union Pacific Big Boy, the Y6B actually had a pulling force of just over 140,000 pounds, which is around 5,000 pounds more than the Big Boy. The model takes that heritage to heart. This thing can pull, and I'm going to show you that just in a minute. But let's take a look at the model itself. If you've had a Broadway Limited locomotive before, this is on par with the rest of them in terms of detail. There are many separately applied details like ladders, handrails, the bell, the whistle, among others. Now, I opted for this 1960s fantasy blue paint scheme because it is my favorite Norfolk and Western paint scheme, and I think it's pretty cool to have this in the fantasy scheme. This thing has some amazing sound too. Just take a listen to it.
Permission to depart. Be advised, switches on the north end might be against you, so go out looking out for switches. That's a Rajio.
This locomotive has several cool features like an added capacitor that will keep your locomotive running on dirty spots of track and over 20 different sounds. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I will never use that many sounds while I'm doing this. But one cool thing about Broadway Limited locomotives is that they have the ability to program a sequence of functions and sounds. All you have to do is press the function 27, then the head and tail lights start flashing. Once the flashing is done, you will key which functions you want in what order. This includes sounds, headlights, bells, even the throttle. Once you're done, press 27 again, the lights flash again, and once they are done, your sequence is programmed. You can redo this any time. I use it to make a nice little startup sequence for the locomotive.
Permission to depart. Be advised, switches on the north end might be against you, so go out looking out for switches. Just dark, yeah, it just went up and clear now. That's a Roger. Let me know what you have coming up the portal to the KSP.
Okay, let's get to the fun part. It's pulling ability, and this is some serious pulling ability. First of all, the model is about 8.5 inches, which is pretty big and in scale, and it weighs just under a half a pound or about 194 grams. This is because a significant portion of the engine is die-cast. It also has traction tires for even more pulling ability. This is great. But if you want to buy one of these, you want to know it's not going to be a disappointment. So I'm going to do a couple tests for you. First is an endurance test. The engine must run for 8 hours straight at 25% throttle. The reason I'm doing 25% throttle is that it can't just glide over dirty spots on the track. It's going to have to make sure that it can pick up and be nice and even on its pickup. So here is the video of it. You can see it did just fine doing that 8-hour test. So it's going to run fine. The endurance test passed easily, but I wanted to see how it tackled the main grade on my layout. There's a 2.3% grade coming into the town of West Valley on my layout. Most of my locomotives need to be consisted to haul significant trains up this grade. For example, my Kato Norfolk Southern 2588 SD70M is one of the trains that is on my layout the most. When tested at about 30% throttle, it maxed out at being able to pull 11 cars before it came to a stop. So let's just see what this Y6B can pull up that grade. We're going to start off with 8 cars and a caboose. Well, that was really easy. So let's make a big jump here. We're going to go ahead and put 20 cars on it and see what it can do. Again, that was really easy, so let's add 5 more. Okay, so it's not struggling at all getting up this grade. So the longest train I have ever run on my layout is 34 cars. So let's try 40. Okay, this is getting a little bit crazy. I'm getting into the territory where rolling stock may be the issue and not the actual train. Not only is the train so long that in order to start on the grade itself, I'm having to put new rolling stock on in the back of the layout rather than the front, but the train literally now spans over half of my main line. Well, let's try 50 cars. That is a long train for my layout, and yeah, this is going to be a big moment of truth for it. Alright, when it gets up to the 12.5-inch radius uphill turn right here, it's got a little bit of slippage. I really noticed slippage when it was off the hill, but the train is so long that half of it is still on the hill, but it still made it through fine, and it was really slippage that happened in the downhill 11.25-inch turn on the other side of the mountain. Another issue was that there was so much weight with this train that I started having coupler failures and needing to reshoot the hill climb. The train weighed 2.5 pounds, and even though I'm pretty sure the locomotive had more in it, I decided to call it quits at 50 cars as not to damage any of my rolling stock. Overall, this is a great locomotive. It puts a smile on my face and it gives you those childlike feelings of joy like what you had when watching trains as a kid. Products like these are the reason that I do what I do on my channel. I want to show you ways that you can be efficient and save your money on other parts of the hobby so that you can use that money to buy the really fun things in the hobby, like this locomotive, that bring you joy and make you smile. Because look, I like this thing. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading.